Kia ora, and welcome to Without Borders, your fortnightly dose of real people, real conversations, and a little bit of real estate. Hello, I'm William Tartiner of Team William Tartiner at the Ray White Damerel Group. Now, I've had a rich and colourful career in the UK, Australia, and New Zealand, and I've met some wonderful people along the way who have contributed and shaped me into the person that I am today. I'd like to share those people with you, because we can all learn and be better human beings. Without Borders will inform, educate, and entertain you over 20 minutes. Good people who have a story to share and a lesson to learn. Well, today my guest is Frances Carlisle, who's the business owner of HR Works Limited. Welcome, Frances, to Without Borders. Good to see you, mate.
Thanks so much for having me, William.
No worries.
Excited.
Hey, fantastic. Hey, listen, tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I started out actually doing biochemistry. I also then went into media. Yeah. I had a few careers, and then I went into work for World Vision for quite a long time and really enjoyed that. Travelled to a lot of unattractive places, got carjacked, very exciting existence, but very meaningful. And through all of that, I then did a change project for a vineyard and thought, I'd really like to pursue a more focused career. I'd done a lot of marketing, a lot of customer service, a lot of training of people. So I actually went and saw a coach, and we worked out that I was great with people and problem solving. So moving into the human resources area was just perfect for me and my skill set. And I went back and did a postgraduate master's and started my practice doing HR, and I haven't looked back since. So I've been doing it now for around 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant. Look, one of the things I know about you is that you love doing walks, and you've been quite a few different places around the world. What's one of the best walks you've ever went on?
Well, probably,
what's the best location, I should say?
Well, I should probably say New Zealand. I do think our walking is very different to overseas walks. I love doing the great walks, and I've done about 5 of them.
Right.
But probably 2 highlights would be trekking the Annapurna circuit in Nepal, and also walking the El Camino from one side of Spain across to the other. Yeah.
Okay.
That was pretty fantastic.
Yeah. I've met other people on the North Shore who've actually done that too.
Yeah.
When you've done that walk, is that you have to be? What's the fitness level you're going to be at? Oh,
I think my enthusiasm exceeds my fitness most of the time, but I find the walking is I'm a real team sports person, so it's quite interesting to me that I've sort of got into this place of really enjoying the solitude of walking. But you do have that camaraderie at the end of the day, and everyone sits down and has a gin and says, "Man, we smashed that out." And it's the simplicity of it, where you're walking and all you've got to do is get to that next destination, and it's your fitness and your mind to get there, and you've got no interruptions, no cell phone, most of the time no cell phone coverage, and it's just really wonderful downtime for me. Yeah.
What's the toughest walk you've done in New Zealand?
I would say to date, the route bend's not hard. The first day was a little tough on me because I actually had a sore calf before going into it. They're all so different, but I wouldn't say any of them is too tough. I just recently done the Tora walk, and that was magnificent. 5.5 hours the first day across farmlands, and then scooting on down to that east coast near Wellington. Oh, right. Absolutely stunning. Yeah. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Beautiful part of the world there.
Yeah.
When you got involved in human resources, you said with problem solving and with people. Yeah. You ran a business for someone else for a little while there. Yeah. So tell us about your experience in that, and what was probably a couple of key learnings from that.
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed my time there. It was a small HR practice, probably heavily compliance orientated, working with businesses, smaller businesses who didn't know their processes so well. So I did tons of working with getting employment agreements organised, structuring their company right, if they needed a restructure or were introducing technology, and loads of sort of looking at how we can get people to perform better. Probably two learnings would be when you're working for someone else's business, you're taking on board their vision and what they want for the company. Yep. So making sure you're nurturing that. It may not necessarily be 100% where you are, but, being really careful that you look after the clients and bring forth what they want from their business to that client.
Sure.
And I'd say the second thing is I'm quite strong operationally as a result. I, did all the P&L for the business. I looked after contractors. I understand the nitty-gritty of running a business as opposed, I think, to maybe a person who's just done HR in larger companies and been an employee. I think it taught me the finessing of how to do a deep dive quickly and ask those specific questions that clients really need to be asked to get the answers for what they might want to do in HR.
When you started HR Works Limited, who helped you the most in your startup time? Look, it's one thing running a business for somebody else, but once it's you, the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
Who helped you the most in that process?
Well, I couldn't say any one person. I'd have to say my mother gave me grit. I also would say that I had a very good mentor and dear friend of mine, Larry Amos, who taught me as a woman how to negotiate properly and how to ask for the right things. I just have to say here, sometimes us women, we want to say, I can't do that job description because I can't do those last two lines. Guys don't think about that at all. They just say, oh, yeah, I can do that. So I think it taught me to have more confidence in myself. He really built that in me. And then from a specific area of getting into that business, I belonged to a really high-performing business networking meeting, and the team there were on at me probably well before I left the last business to, come on, Frances, you're making all this money for her, go out on your own. You know?
Step up to the plate.
And when I did leave that business, I thought about, do I want to be in a team and maybe just work for someone? And then I thought, Frances, I think you've got to be honest, that's an easy option, You've got all your networking, you've got all your support team, you've got people around you can do this. And they really helped me just get myself up and started. And, really grateful to my team there.
As a business owner, you're also a leader. What would be three things that you would list to say what makes a great leader? Because you would have met quite a few of them in your line of work. Yeah. Because you've got to go into businesses and, you've got the CEO or the managing director. What makes a great leader? What would you say in your opinion?
I think, there's that leadership debate. Are they born or are they created? Mm-hmm. And I do tend to say more created, and it's a craft. I think a good leadership takes time.
Yep.
And I think we've moved from a model where it was all about competency and having the right answers all the time and being very authoritarian. The leadership style these days is much more collaborative. It's a creative process, and communication is absolutely key.
Right.
I do a lot of work with business owners, teaching them, yes, you've got the vision, you know why you're passionate about it, but that's not enough. You've got employees here trying to do a good job for you. You need to inspire them. So I think them moving from that owning it, being a business owner on the business, in the business, to being a business owner on the business who is strategically communicating to their staff so that they can really get a hold of what that person's trying to drive in their business is really important. And I consider that a key skill for leadership. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the three things there is it is a craft.
Yes.
It's something that you've got to continually learn.
Yes.
Number two is the collaboration.
Yes.
Because look, leaders don't know all the answers.
No.
We know that as we go on in life. We just haven't got all that. But there are other people that do have answers. And number three, the communication.
Yeah.
So those three things.
Yes, I do think that. And I think also, this is borne out by, if you look at Brené Brown's work around being a transparent leader and a vulnerable leader. I think that's key today. People don't need an authoritarian leader, but they do need one that will listen and say, hey, I don't have all the answers now, but we've got the expertise here to solve this. Let's do this. Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you've made in your career?
My biggest mistake.
And what did you learn from it?
I've made in my career. That's a nice question, William. I think possibly it would be playing it too safe.
Right.
Perhaps I think also that whole thing of, recognising your skill set, owning it, and using it to the best advantage.
Sure.
That's taken me a while to grow into as a woman, and I'm pretty happy in the space I'm in now. But I think at times I could have actually accelerated my career or sort of pushed for that promotion, or actually fronted up and said, actually, no, he didn't do that work. I did that work and he took the credit.
Right.
But I think I was probably in an era where you kind of sat back a bit. Yeah, but now I own my space quite nicely, and I'm pretty happy with where my career is at. Yeah,
no, that's really good. When you started your business, what was the motivation behind that?
I think ultimately I had two choices. I could go into a senior role in a larger company and probably do very well there, or I could challenge myself. And I think I was just really ready for that challenge. And, William, you gave me the talk too. I mean, it's just, I just wanted to say, right, let's see what we can do. And it's been a wonderful revelation, and it's been very empowering. I've really enjoyed my time, and I am still really enjoying it. And I'm doing the work I want to do now, as opposed to maybe sitting at the ER end of the spectrum of human resources, where you're doing all that sticky problem solving, disciplinaries, all that sort of thing. And now I'm working a lot more strategically with businesses to help them get what they need with their people, and communicate well to their people and drive business results. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. My tagline is business driven, people focused.
There you
go. That's where I'm at with my human resources. Yeah.
No, very good. Who else is on your team in your business? It's just you at the moment, or you got a PA, or what's the? I
have myself as the main contractor, and I have several other contractors that I pull in for specialist pieces of work. I have a specialist ER person now who does all those sort of exits or really tricky disciplinary situations that can arise. I have a couple of recruiters that I use when I have recruitment work on, and I have one person who also works with me to do performance review materials and things like that. Yeah.
Yep. Really good. Do you have what's the goal for you going forward from here with your business? Because obviously you've come to a certain level now. Are you looking to grow a little bit further, stay as you are, or what?
Good question, William. I've just completed a William in Leadership, a Woman in Leadership course with Britta Christensen, and that's one of the goals that we're working on in the course, is actually working out my growth strategy. And does that mean more people, or does that mean for me developing my IP as a business owner? And I think I will be moving into developing my IP a little more, and my offerings, and just keeping my contractors there for when I need them.
Look, all companies have different needs and wants, particularly around the HR resources, okay?
Yeah.
When you engage a client, what's the process you take them through? And to obviously bring them to an outcome?
Right. So first of all, I offer a 30-minute free discovery session with all my new clients.
Okay. I
pretty much do a deep dive into what is happening in your business. Where are you at with your people? Are there any issues with your people? What sort of technology are you using? If it's a time-focused business such as billable hours, what sort of timekeeping mechanisms are you using? And I just sort of do a bit of a deep dive first to look at where the bottlenecks might lie in this business, where the key issues are. And then what we would do from there is we'd work out a strategy. For some people, they have a real need for to build their talent base. They are short of staff. For other people, they are having problems with people underperforming who have really good skills. And often that's about having a really good review system in place where they're feeling challenged, they've got goals to aim for, and I think one of the key things is really helping business owners understand how to activate that internal mechanism in people so that they've got goal clarity and they can, achieve for the company as well.
Yeah, no, that's really good. What would you say to be the three common areas that businesses that you've seen that they trip up on, particularly around human resources?
Yeah. Okay. I think short-termist thinking and not having a plan for how they want to grow their business.
Okay.
Having a good business plan.
Yep.
Poor employment contracts, for a starter. They will often try and build their own through the MBIE website, which is really tricky because they don't know what they should be putting in it. And often when it comes down to needing an employment contract to refer to, half the stuff that should be in there is missing. And the third thing is understanding how important communication of your vision and your goals to your staff is and to their motivation. And I would add one other thing is that having an old mindset around what motivates people, like sometimes people who are very successful in business for a long time forgot the ground has shifted. And for some people, it's not just about throwing more money at them. It might be that they want to have the chance to attend their kids' school play.
Right.
So workplace flexibility might be an option.
Yeah.
Yeah. So adopting that, moving their mindset along and having that growth mindset so that they understand what's happening in the marketplace is super important.
What's the most funniest contract or whatever, a situation that you've ever taken on? Because I know that you've got a few pearlers.
Yes. There's so many funny stories. Human resources is kind of like dysfunctional family law or something. You go into a place and, you've got you can have your bully or you can have your dominant person and you can have the person who's the gossip and all that sort of thing. Look, it never ceases to amaze me, the situations that come up. We did have a situation where two directors had a stoush in the car park, a punch-up, and, turned out one of the directors' wives was bonking the other director, and, so it got pretty hairy, and, then if you've got directors, then you've got to separate the business, all that sort of thing. So sometimes you come away just rolling your eyes thinking, oh, my goodness, old people behaving badly. So, yeah, there are many funny situations we do get ourselves into and have to sort of keep a level playing field. Yeah.
Give us an example where you've consulted somebody and you've turned the whole thing around.
Yeah.
It could be a difficult situation, but you've turned the whole thing around. Give us an example of that so people can understand your insight, what you do.
Okay, so one of my companies was experiencing a very high turnover in their customer services department.
Right. And
it hadn't been addressed. So I went in and talked to the director, and he didn't seem to really understand. He said, I just can't put my finger on why. We've got quite good systems. I think we're resourced enough, And so I said, well, I'd like to do a session with your team. And so I did a session with the customer services team and asked them some very clear, specific questions and said that, this is a safe place to talk and we need to get this out on the table. You have got a high turnover and, let's talk about what's not working for you. So I took them through a whole strategy session around what it is to have a good team, what good culture looks like.
Sure.
What are your systems and processes? We did process mapping of all their processes. And we came out and I presented a report to the directors. We had like three very significant bottlenecks in the processes that were frustrating all the workers that were easily resolved.
Right.
We did have the roles were not crafted correctly so that there was too much division of labour and the seamlessness for the customer experience was going out the window. So we needed to address that. And the third thing was some of the practices around following up customers and some of the inquiries that were coming into the customers didn't actually belong in the customer services area. So they were receiving a lot of noise during their day, which was lowering their concentration, lowering their productivity. And by simply resetting the phone system to divert the dispatch calls out to dispatch, it saved them about 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah. So, and that is for one person per day. and
Yes.
for the others at least an hour a day so that they could focus on their jobs. So, yeah, it was a fantastic turnaround, and we've got a good team now.
You've got a good team, and they're all happy, and they're staying.
Yeah. And I think the really interesting thing was they really appreciated someone taking time to hear.
Right.
You know, a staff meeting or a 10-minute sort of whip round or production meeting is never going to be the forum that you're going to actually solve those issues. You need to do a deep dive sometimes.
Yeah. Now, people only open up if they know they've got a safe space to do so. Yeah. Everybody's always scared about getting, shut down if they speak out of turn. But I think the way that you can improve things is when you allow that space for people to do that.
Yeah, and creating that culture, William. You know, if people are afraid to talk and think that their ideas are going to be slammed, you've got a closed culture and a real problem there. We have to create a learning mindset among our people and our employees so that we can have that open, collaborative, creative atmosphere where the really good ideas come to the top and people feel they can take ownership of their roles.
Sure. Tell me about your time as in BNI, which is the networking group you were referring to earlier in our conversation. You were the president there. Tell me a little bit about your experience in that.
Oh, William, you're nailing me today. Yeah, I actually didn't like talking in front of the public, and I have to say I wasn't great with my timing, but what I was good at is gathering good people around me. And in that time, we went from, I think, 32 members up to 46 with your support, William, and I think I had a brilliant leadership team around me. And I think that you can always look at a person and look at who they've got around them. Have they got people who are just going to be yes men around them, or are they people who are going to challenge them and think creatively and look at how we can develop things? And I'm that sort of person, and I really enjoy working with people who have a completely different mindset from me. I'm up for that.
Yeah.
And the team was fantastic. So I had Sian there, and as you know, from Attain, and
yes.
Yeah, we had a really exciting time of growth, and I think really standing on the shoulders of people who'd gone before us as well.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful group anyway. It had a great culture. It just didn't have that drive to really, I think again, it was almost like a change piece where we had to realise who we could really be. And we went from, I think, about 1.2 million. I think now we're kicking 3 million a year, aren't we, William?
Yeah, just under, yeah. And thank you for closed business. No, it's really good. Hey, listen, how do people get a hold of you who are listening to this podcast today?
Oh, thank you, William. So you can get a hold of me at frances@hrworks.co.nz. That's my email. You can phone me, 027 316 3639, or place an inquiry on our website, which is www.hrworks.co.nz. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So any of those touch points will do, and I'd be happy to have a chat with you.
Fantastic. Frances Carlisle, business owner of HR Works Limited. Thank you for being with us today on Without Borders.
Oh, thank you, Brother William.
Thanks for listening to Without Borders and my special guest today. If you need help on your property journey or to be a guest on the podcast, I'd love to talk. Just get in touch at teamwilliamtartner.co.nz. Join me in another 2 weeks for another episode of Without Borders.